All right, welcome back for another episode of the CBSI Hot 10 show. Make sure you go over to comicbookinvest.com and check out the article where I may list a few extra details and tidbits that I don't remember to cover here on the show tonight. And while you're at it, check out all the shows we do have here on the channel. Make sure you let me know what you think in the comments down below and that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see this week's list, just hang on for a few seconds and I will be right back.
Notable sales.
And the first notable sale this week is Mortal Kombat Blood and Thunder. This is the limited edition Hall of Foil edition. This sold in 9.8 this week, and it set an all-time high for this book. We recently got a trailer drop showing Carl Urban playing Johnny Cage in this new film. I enjoyed the first one. It wasn't perfect or great, but it was a pretty entertaining movie. So I'm looking forward to the sequel, and I'm looking forward to the addition of some of these newer characters. But this week, this OG number one with the Hall of Foil limited edition sold for almost $1,000. So $999 and a 9.8 this week, which is an all-time high for it in this grade. The last sold was $665 back in April. So that's a heck of a jump for just a couple of months time. And I guess the excitement is getting there and it's starting to build as we're getting more, with trailers and we know it's coming. So this one is bound to see some more action as time goes on. Again, it's the limited edition foil. We don't see this one all that often, but especially not in 9.8. Now, with that said, the other book we have to look at is another interesting book that came out and I think kind of spiked because of some more news and rumors that we have that there is a Wonder Woman project in the works with James Gunn. Superman has done very well, both critically and, at the box office. So it looks like James Gunn has a good start to the DC universe. So with that, there's a lot of books that are seeing some movement, including characters that are rumored to have projects on the way, like Wonder Woman. This particular book here is actually a reprint of a digital-only comic, Agent of Peace series. This is actually Wonder Woman Agent of Peace number 14, but this particular edition was a free giveaway at Burbank. So this was the Burbank special when they unveiled the Wonder Woman statue. They gave away this comic, similar to what they did with the Batman that came out, I think, a couple of years before this one. This was like early, I think it was like 2022 thereabouts, and I think the Batman might have been 2020 thereabouts. I might be a little off on my dates, but this thing did come out a couple of years ago, and it's seeing some action with an all-time high for a raw sale as this thing sold for $1,300 this week. $1,300 raw. That's right. I think I saw at one time one of these in 9.8 sold for $2,000, and that is the highest sale of all, but that was a graded copy. This is just a raw copy, and it sold for $1,300. So that's a big number for this book. And again, not an easy book to find. Not impossible, but not easy. They're just pretty darn expensive these days, as that $1,300 is a big jump from the last raw sale, which I think was a few hundred. Might have been like 6 or 7 at the most, but still, huge jump in price from that last raw book. With that said, those are our notable sales for the week. But before we get to the actual 10, I want to remind any of you out there who need supplies, use my code RENA10 to save 10% off your entire BCW order. That's your bags, your boards, your long boxes, your short boxes, CGC boxes, top loaders, pages for your cards, top loaders for your cards. Basically anything to keep your comics and collectibles safe. You could probably find a product over at BCW, and you might as well save some money while you're over there. 10% off by using my code RENA10. You help out the channel, you get yourself a discount, you got nothing to lose. So with that all said, I'm going to start off the new list for this week, starting right now.
Number 10.
All right, our first book on the list at number 10 is the first appearance of Red Sonja in Conan the Barbarian number 23. Classic book. This one has been around for a while. It's kind of been lingering. I've been wondering when this one was going to spike because the Red Sonja trailer actually came out last week, I think, or maybe even a little more than a week ago. Looks decent. Looks interesting. I mean, it's no, Bridget Nielsen or Ernie Reyes Jr., but it could be good. Who knows? This book, however, has been selling with an increase in volume of over 220%, with almost 20 sales. Raws are about $75 with a high hitting 100. CGC 9.8, however, $1,700. So that's a big number if you can find this in high grade. Either way, this is a collectible book. Yes, Red Sonja 1 is also doing well, but this is her first appearance in comics, so this is the one that most people gravitate towards when they're collecting Red Sonja. So keep an eye out for this one, as well as that 1977 Red Sonja number 1. Now, with that, that's our number 10 book, so let's see what we got next here at number 9.
Number 9.
Back on the list again with rumors of a Netflix series on the way from Greg Berlanti and Leonardo DiCaprio's production company. We have Captain Planet. Now, I know I'm not alone in being the only one here hoping that Don Cheadle reprises the role of Captain Planet like he did on SNL, because that was pretty darn funny. Probably not going to happen, but I would love it if it did. That said, Netflix show? Live action? Seriously? Okay, I will admit I am curious. I've never been the biggest Captain Planet fan, but you're telling me you're going to make a live action show out of this? You got me curious. You've got my attention. This is the original comic from the 90s. Neil Adams cover. Yeah, that's right. Neil Adams did the cover here on Captain Planet 1, but over 30 sales this week, where basically last week there was one sale, and it was of a lot. Like, it was a handful of comics from the Captain Planet run in that one sale from last week. So with this news, I didn't even bother putting a percentage, because going from 1 to over 30, it was like 3,000%. It's a ridiculous number. So I didn't even bother putting it in there. Point being, huge jump in volume just based off of this news that came out about a day or so ago. Price is still around $15 on average. It has dipped and it kind of bounced back a little bit, but still kind of, nowhere near the highs of the high that we've gotten over the last year or two. But $15 isn't bad, with a high sale of $45, which is kind of impressive for a Raw book, I'll just say, for this particular book. I will admit that. So with that, who knows where the ceiling is on Captain Planet? We'll find out if we get any casting news soon, or when this Netflix series is supposed to drop. But I admit it, they have my attention. I'm kind of curious. But with that said, let's keep the list rolling and see what we got next at number 8.
Number 8.
And here at number 8, I'm always excited to see when comic stories actually move books. And that's kind of what we have here, as is the case with this issue of Superman, issue 330, which kind of explains why nobody recognizes Clark Kent when he takes the glasses off and becomes Superman. Like, how can nobody connect the dots? This whole story about super hypnosis, which apparently they kind of explained away in the movie as well. I still haven't had time to go see the Superman movie. I know. You got to take away my nerd card. I'm trying to go this weekend if I have time, but my son's sports schedule this summer has been too packed with swim meets and flag football, so I've had no free time all summer long. Hoping to get some this weekend, maybe Sunday afternoon, but Superman 330 has been selling well. It sold well even last week. So volume-wise, it didn't jump by too much. There was 20 so sales I counted last week, with over 30 sales this week, but that's not the point. The point here more is in the price, where all the cheap copies of last week kind of cleared out with the explanation of the super hypnosis that Superman has, where the average is now up to $20, which is a 163% jump over the average of last week. That's why this is finding itself here, apart from the little bit of a bump in volume as well, with that high also hitting $49 for basically a long forgotten about Superman book. There was nothing else really about this book standing out, but much like many of the comic appearances, like you see the scene in the movie and then all of a sudden everybody wants the comic, like Cap with the shield, with Hulk punching it, with Brave New World of this, this past winter, I guess it would be, back in February. Books like that, just kind of moving because of their connection to the movie, but the stories inside the books, it's always good and fun to see, at least to me. With that said, this is our number 8 book on the list, which will take us to our lucky number 7.
Number 7.
Here at lucky number 7, Lobo is back again. Yes, we've seen the main man pop back on this list in and out many times over the last few years, all with rumors this, rumors that, rumors this. Now, we know he's coming in the Supergirl movie. Like, that has been confirmed. We know Jason Momoa is going to be playing it. Finally confirmed after rumor over all the years. But now I think with the success of the Superman movie, both critically and at the box office, because it's doing quite well, it's apparently on pace to beat The Batman, at theaters as far as box office goes. So we'll see what happens. But with Lobo and the main man coming, and that success of the Superman movie, people are trusting Gunn and now branching out and looking at other DC books like what's coming next with Supergirl and Lobo here. So The first appearance of Lobo from Omega Man number 3 is up 94% in volume. This usually sells very well week after week, but here we see a good jump this particular week in 94% in volume, up to 33 sold, with the average also jumping 58% to $87 on average, where this has lingered and hovered $50 to $60 forever. It spikes up close to 100, dips back down to 50 and 60 again. We're spiking up again now, up to 87 on average, with a high of 110 for raw copies. CGC 9.8, 335. We've seen it linger around that $300 range for a while now as well. We'll see if it has any more room to grow to get back up, because I know this got close to 400 at one time as well in 9.8. We'll see if it gets there once again. But Lobo, the main man, back on people's minds as they look forward to the next DC series of flicks and what's next in James Gunn's movie universe. But interesting to see this one back here at number 7. With that said, we've got one more book on the bottom half of the list, so let's see what we got next at number 6.
Number 6.
At number 6, we have a repeat, but climbing up from near the bottom of the list, we have Justice League number 1. The Giffen-McGuire run, first appearance of Maxwell Lord. We had this one on the list last week, down near the bottom with like a dozen sales. This week, however, it's jumped up because of a jump in volume with nearly 40 sales. So that volume's up 171%. Average price is now $10, which is not all that impressive to be $10, but that is a 100% jump from the $5 average of last week. Because last week was a lot of copies moving, but they were still pretty cheap. Now they're starting to go up, averaging $10. With that jump, with highs hitting $20, which again is an increase from last week, with CGC 9.8s also up a decent percentage, up to $176. So across the board, prices, volumes, interest is up here on Justice League number 1, as again, people are trusting Gunn and looking forward to what's next. With that said, let's tell you what's next here with the top half of the list, starting at number 5.
Number 5.
Let's get away from movies and talk about comics. That's right, actual comics. You know, these funny books we open up and read? Here we have a case where a book is showing up on the list due to some excitement of a comic event series coming. Just comics, no movie attachment. But here we have the X-Men, Age of Revelation coming our way. Going to be starring the character Revelation, the heir to Apocalypse, who, I don't want to spoil it, but you guys already know by now. It's Doug Ramsey, Cypher. Interesting choice. But that's what happened and what played out in this Heir to Apocalypse series. It was a 4-issue miniseries, came out just last year. He's going to be playing a big role in this upcoming X-Men event. So with that, interest is going back to this series, and particularly the final book where he is introduced as the Heir to Apocalypse. So here we're talking about X-Men Heir to Apocalypse number 4. Huge jump in volume from last week, up 550% with 50+ sales. Highs hitting $17. On average, a lot of these are still cover price or maybe even a little bit less, but the highs hit $17 with a few, sales over $10. Sets of issues 1 through 4, $15 to $30. They're kind of all over the place, but they're clearing out. The cheap ones go quickly, and then the higher price ones kind of follow suit after that. 2 covers on this book, but this seems to be the cover of choice. Not that there's much different in price. It's just seems to be the one that pops up and sells more often than not as far as this issue 4 goes. So keep an eye out for both. But this is the cover of choice and the one that's moving well. Again, we'll see if the average can get pulled up here, but highs are hitting $17, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on the weeks ahead as this event's kicking off in the fall, I believe, in October. But we're getting teases of it right now. More on that in a little bit. Because for now, we still got more to get to on the list, getting to number 4.
Number 4.
And here we have at number 4, another repeat. I get it. People don't like seeing repeats, but sometimes these books earn that spot to maintain. Not only that, this climbed up the list. So here at number 4, climbing up a few spots, Red Hulk, number 6, the 1 in 25 Dan Panosian. I told you, I'm biased. I like Dan Panosian. I like this cover because of that. Unfortunately, I didn't order one because I was like, well, I don't really need it. I like it. I didn't need it. It's the character of Warwolf. How far could these legs carry Warwolf? Well, apparently, one thing or another is carrying this book because over a dozen sold this week, which is a 30% jump. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it's still a 30% jump in volume. But really, it's the price. The average is now up 188% to $115 on average for this 1 in 25. high hit $200, which is a 300% jump, because I think last week it was $50. It was like 50, $60. Like, that was it. $200, this 1 in 25 is already hit. Is it because of the awesome Panosian cover? Is it because it's harder to find because not many people were ordering that many copies of Red Hulk #6? Is it for this new character Warwolf and it's his feature, presentation here on this cover? Is it all three? I think it's a little bit of everything. But with that said, I can't believe it's gotten this high. I never expected it to spike this much, but it has, so that's why it's earned its spot here at number 4. With that, let's keep the list rolling and see what we got next in our top 3.
Number 3.
And at number 3, also maintaining a spot and climbing up the list, we have the Spectre number 54. That's right, the first appearance of Mr. Terrific, which was on our list last week, had a huge jump in volume, much like some of the other books we've seen here. But over 40 sold, which is a 233% increase in volume, while prices are also up a decent amount, as the average is now $125 raw for this first appearance of Mr. Terrific, while a CGC 9.8 sold for $567, which again in itself is a 30% increase. So prices, volumes across the board up on the first appearance of Mr. Terrific, as I've heard very good things about his performance in the film, and who knows what we might see next. So again, people are back in James Gunn's movie universe, and they're doing so by proving it with their wallets in buying some of these books up this week. So with that said, Spectre 54 jumping up the list up to number 3, which takes us to our top 2 of the week, which I will tease and tell you, these are new books to the list. So let's see what we got first here at number 2.
Number 2.
Well, it's a new book as far as this week goes. We have seen Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow before, but it's been a while. It's been months since we've looked at this book. It's been months since anyone has really looked at this book. Not that it's really gone anywhere. And all this time, we've known we were getting a movie. We've known this is sort of a basis or sort of a kind of a blueprint of the Supergirl we're going to be getting. So it shouldn't be surprised. But again, with the success of Superman, I think people are more confident now in the next film and the next features that we're getting. So they're getting more confident and showing it with their wallets, as Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow #1. The cover A is doing quite well, as you'll see here, with volumes up a huge amount, over 1,000%, with 50+ sales, because basically there was only a handful last week. So we went from a handful to over 50. Huge jump in volume, as tons of people buying this book, with the average raw price going up 84% now to $69. $69 raw for this Supergirl cover A, with a high hitting 100. I also want to point out there is a cover B and there is a sketch cover, but the B and the sketch only do like $15 to $20, where the A is doing about 70. Keep that in mind when you're out there hunting. Additionally, CGC 9.8s are now $200, which is a 30% jump. And let me also point out that it wasn't just one 9.8 that sold this week. Of the 50+ sales, a dozen sales were of CGC graded copies. A dozen graded copies of this particular book sold just this week alone. So a lot of volume, a lot of rush towards Supergirl and this particular series, thanks to, again, I got to point to the success of the movie. Yes, I know, even without seeing the movie, I know she makes a quick little cameo. I get it. It's not about the cameo, though. I think it's about looking ahead to what's next. And again, with these volumes and these prices, I got to admit, I'm a little bit surprised in the rush. But here we are with our number 2 book, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which leaves us with only one book left. So let's see what it is.
And our number 1.
While Supergirl gave it a valiant effort, this Secret Marvel drop, this polybag, secret 1 per account, 1 per store edition of X-Men Age of Revelation #0, it demanded its spot here at number 1, because this book has just been selling like gangbusters all week, ever since, dealers and online dealers, whatever, open up their orders and boxes and said, what is this? What do I have here? And started selling it. So this surprise drop with a Humberto Ramos cover, familiar with the like the crucified X-Men mutants like Wolverine on, was it 251? So it's a classic look, callback there. Big event coming this fall. But this particular giveaway book, I counted as of this morning, and this is as of Friday morning, over 180 sales, almost 200 sales of this particular book as of Friday, averaging $32. Again, this was a free book given to shops as a thank you, so there is no base price to start with. It's a one per store, one per account, whatever you want to call it, but averaging $32 right now, highs hitting $61. And I'll tell you, the recent sales are getting closer to that high. As before I started filming this, I started seeing auctions start to end at like 60. So auctions are starting to push these books up pretty high right now. So I'm not saying that it's going to maintain that price forever. I'm just saying right now, FOMO was taking hold, and a lot of people are rushing to grab this book and are getting excited about this event. So keep that in mind. But I'm not saying it's going to hold, but that's where we're at right now with Age of Revelation number 0. A lot of volume, a lot of people rushing to grab this, one per store, one per account. Surprise drop book. Well, I forget what they call it. It's like a secret drop, surprise drop, whatever you want to call it. It's an interesting book. Polybagged, given to shops for free. Hopefully you got a good relationship with your LCS and you can secure yourself a copy for a decent price. But with that all said, that is our list for this week. But do not go anywhere. Stick around. The boys on the qualified are next. Not only will they give you a rundown on some outside looking in books that just didn't quite make the list this week, but who knows? Maybe they'll show up sometime in the future. But apart from that, the boys are also going to be looking at a preview of San Diego Comic-Con next week. So if you want a preview of what's to come, it's SDCC. The boys are going to cover it from toys to comics and all that kind of fun stuff. So have a lot of fun watching the qualified starting up right now as I'm finished here. And with that, I'll see you all later with some more content. All right.